Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, post-match. Novak Djokovic versus Ben Shelton, US Open 2023 semifinal. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Novak Djokovic advances to his fourth major final of the season, so 4 for 4 in that department. And he beats Ben Shelton in straight sets. One break, 6-3 in the first, 2 breaks, 6-2 in the second, and he wins the third in a tiebreak, despite building a lead in that set, losing the lead, and wins it in a tiebreak. So his dominance in major semifinals goes really back to 2015, continues, unbelievable. He never loses these things. It's pretty crazy. Let's get into the match. You got to start with Djokovic's first serve because it was a clinic. Let me pull up the stat here. I think it did fall off a little bit in the third set. I think in the first 2 sets, it was something like 31 for 35. First serve points won for Novak. And it ends up being 56 of 67. So 84% first serves won for Novak. How did he do it? He did it mainly by hitting slice serves to Shelton's backhand that achieved enough width that Shelton had to take his right hand off the racket and hit floating slice returns. I think he figured out via his scouting that Shelton on the backhand return, if you actually make him move, he doesn't always react all that well. His feet don't move in a very efficient way. He can get disorganized. And I think throughout the season, he's really been missing a lot of these backhand returns. And recently, he's made an improvement and just started chipping the backhand returns. But Djokovic looks at that and says, okay, if you're going to hit a floating chip return, that to me is also success. I'm going to really feast off of my +1 forehand, can even occasionally throw in the serve and volley, have success with that play. And probably because Shelton doesn't have the best hands on his chip either, probably get some free points as well. And it's a really, really high percentage serve. It's Djokovic's best serve. So it all adds up to, hey, let's hit this a ton. And it's better against a lefty than a righty. So, yeah, you look at 2 things when it comes to a tactic: effectiveness and repeatability. And this was really a 10 out of 10 in both areas. It worked all day. And then if Shelton really was going to lean there and cover it, well, the change up to the forehand, that becomes even more effective. And obviously Novak didn't get so predictable that all he did was hit slice serves to Shelton's backhand the whole time. But it's all about the precision and the width on the slice serve, which is a really great lesson because Novak was averaging, 116 miles per hour on the first serve, and he dominated like he was John Isner, you know? And that's just a great lesson that doesn't have to be about speed. You can legitimately dominate with your serve by hitting spots with a good spin and a great tactic. And that was the key for him. Shelton still needs to work on his return. A lot of work to do there. Let's talk about the Shelton serve now. He only hit 2 aces, same as Novak. Not a lot of free points after the first few service games. Took Djokovic a little while to, I think, get the timing right and get used to Shelton's serve, which is to be expected. But after that, I'd say Djokovic did a really good job of getting Shelton returns back in play. In fact, Ben, on first serve win percentage, pretty bad number, only 60%. Again, with the Shelton serve, talked about it in my live stream, but the bombs, the big bombs, like when he really ramps it up, mid-130s or higher, they don't go in enough right now. They don't go in enough. I don't know what percentage Shelton would serve if he was hitting the big ones all the time, but I would assume it would be around 50 or below 50%, and that's not really a sustainable tactic the whole way. The off-speed stuff, when he hits the slice serve or the kick serve, well, that's great. I just talked about how effective that can be, but he just isn't precise enough with it. I think it bleeds middle too much. So there are too many serves with Shelton, who's a great server. There are too many serves that are less than great. When he's off speed and he misses his spot and they become relatively easy returns. And that happened quite a bit. Plus, the toss gives the serve away quite a bit. So Shelton, when he mixes in the kick serve, which he likes to do with his first serve, and it's a nasty serve, versus when he goes big, I'm afraid it's pretty easy to see what he's doing based on his toss. The best servers, and I don't even need to give you Sampras and Federer and Serena, right? I could even talk about like a Hubert Hurkacz. You cannot read Hurkacz's serve. The toss is the same every time. Shelton is not there yet. I assume he's going to develop, these kinds of things. All of these things that I'm talking about are going to get better with Ben because he has the baseline in terms of raw talent, live arm, technique, his ability to get unbelievable spin, unbelievable pace. All of these things are a great framework for Shelton to become one of the best servers in the game. He's going to get there. He's not there yet, though. He's 20 years old. It usually takes a good couple of years for servers to really blossom in terms of hitting spots and knowing what serves to hit when. And I think Ben is still getting there. In terms of Djokovic's return also, though, he was standing very, very deep. He was giving a ton of respect to Shelton's serve and how dangerous it can be, especially in the pace department. Novak was standing as deep as you will ever see him. And I really admire Novak's adaptation here. Just because I think if you showed him a clip of that in 2013 or something, and you said, hey, Novak, this is you playing the U.S. Open in 2023, he'd say, what the hell am I doing? What do I think I'm Rafa? What the heck is that? Why would I ever do that? But I think just the trend on tour has shown that under certain circumstances, it's very, very effective. And it can be really the best way to go is to stand deep. Djokovic is a student of the game. And I just think via observation of what everybody is doing, he's realized, okay, this is something that might not be my MO, might not be something that I do all the time, but I need to have this in my pocket. I need to be able to do this at times. And in this match, he's like, okay, if this guy's going to win points, how's he going to win points? Probably with his serve. And if I get a lot of returns back in play, he's probably going to be kind of inconsistent. So let me make sure that I get returns back in play. This is a good match to stand deep on the first return. And he made it happen. And what happened with Shelton? He did throw in those loose games. Look at the break of serve in the first set. Djokovic didn't have to do much of anything other than getting the return back. Shelton missed 2 forehands, he missed a drop shot, and he missed a volley. There's no offense from Novak there. It was just Shelton missing from neutral or offensive positions. And then in the second set, break came at 2-all. Same thing. Just really mistakes from Shelton. Double fault on break point. +1 forehand inside out that he hit wide. Shelton missed an approach shot, forehand cross court, pulled it wide. And he had a backhand unforced error on the first point that he hit long. So it's just mistakes, just unforced errors. And the way you have to earn those unforced errors if you're Novak is get the returns in play. So Shelton throws in some loose games. For Ben also, the energy and the intensity game in and game out, it probably needs to get to a point where it's a little bit more level, a little bit more even. Right now, it's very up and down and up and down. And when he hits those downs, that's when he can have those loose games. The third set comeback was what it looks like when it's at a high. And the feet are moving very violently. The brain is very, very sharp in terms of decisions. And the movement is better. The serving is better. And that's what it looks like when the energy is at its highest point. So he needs to kind of learn how to maintain that level, and not get lulled into the lows. Maybe you still have the highs, but even that, it's very difficult to run so hot and cold. I think as he matures, he'll start to get more even. Now, he still wants to also maintain his strength. You want to allow him to have those bursts of energy. He's generally a very energetic player in general. So you never want to take that away from him, but you want to take away the lulls. Another thing I noticed in favor of Novak was a lot of successful scrambles by Djokovic. Successful scrambles because Shelton was having trouble finishing with his touch. So whenever Ben had to try to finish with his soft hands via the drop shot, via the drop volley, or just the net play in general, or whenever he got into a cat and mouse situation, he really, really struggled against Novak's speed, and Djokovic was outclassing him almost every time. And that was a good handful of points. I thought that mattered a lot in this match, was the cat and mouse stuff. And Shelton will also just need to just work on his feel a little bit. Third set was very close, though. Ben got much more solid from the back of the court in the rallies, and Djokovic was pretty inconsistent with his attack. I think he got tight, and it got to a point where when Ben, in the long rallies, kind of went into don't miss mode and started to loop the forehand more and just stayed nice and easy and fluid on the backhand without trying to go flat on it, Novak was giving him misses. So that was a little bit surprising. That's why that set went to a tiebreak. Also, there was some unplayable, again, the energy burst from Shelton where, you know, he played some shots that are, again, just too good, which happens with Ben. He's that talented. But that in combination with Novak being inconsistent and inefficient offensively off the ground, that is kind of what made it go to a tiebreak. In the tiebreak, the keys were, again, Djokovic executing that slice serve and then +1. And a lot of the time, the +1 would also go wide to Shelton's backhand. And then it would be another chip. And then maybe Djokovic would be at net by then. And then also, Novak won a couple of points off the return outright. First point of the tiebreak, serve and volley off of a second serve. Pretty good second serve, though. Djokovic had a very good forehand return. Great volleyer still probably is able to execute the volley. But Shelton is just an average volleyer, so he had no chance, and he missed the volley. You know, he was on the stretch, but the whole court was open. So I think like Alcaraz probably would have made that volley. And then there was another return where Djokovic returned a first serve pretty quick into Shelton's backhand and got the miss, which is very difficult to do, to get, you know, Shelton's serve into his backhand, his first serve. So that was the key in the tiebreak. Ben made a bad decision on his forehand on match point. It wasn't a good trigger pull. And that was another key. A lot of forehand errors from Shelton. A bad habit on the finish emerged a couple times. I was talking about it in the live stream. Sometimes his swing path just gets really messed up because he doesn't finish his forehand. It takes away all the topspin, and the ball tends to just fly. And another thing is, you know, the decisions are pretty inconsistent with Shelton's forehand. Where do I hit it? How much spin? How much height? How much pace? All of these things are a calibration and a split-second, you know, decision. And sometimes Shelton is just playing too fast, too low, not enough height from the position that he's in. That's very, very common mistake from him. All right, that's all I got. I'm a little bit puzzled by the frosty handshake. I don't know what happened there. Maybe, hopefully somebody asks about it. That was a little bit disappointing. Very, very rare for Djokovic, I will say. Very rare. And I'm not putting all the blame on him. You know, Shelton might have said something. I know Shelton fist pumps all the time. But yeah, I wonder what that was about. But yeah, so now that is all I got. I'll have analysis of Medvedev, Alcaraz as well after that one. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Rusty here. It's been a while. I'll see you next time.